Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jurnee Taylor, joined by meteorologist Ortiz.
Hey.
Thank you guys for joining us. About a week ago, we saw some severe weather here in this area. But we have some good news, a beautiful day.
It was a beautiful start to the weekend, and it was a huge contrast compared to last weekend. And this whole week in general was probably a lot for some people, but we had, again, a really nice start to this new weekend. And we saw plenty of that sunshine today. We reached 70 degrees this afternoon. We're still seeing mild temperatures as of this evening. You can see how it's a tad bit cooler to our east just because the cloud cover has continued to linger there. It was slowly receding throughout the day. So once it cleared out, we kind of quickly warmed up to around 70. Our evenings looking quiet and cool, dropping down into the 50s. Once again, note the cloud cover does increase overnight and it'll linger into your Easter, but the forecast looking just as nice. We'll be back into the upper 60s to low 70s across the region, and most importantly, quiet weather-wise. We have a nice stretch of quiet weather in store. I'll talk more about that coming up.
Thank you, Corrales. Well, rebuilding after storms ripped through Arkansas last week continues to be the top story. On Rodney Barron Road, one of the hardest hit areas in Little Rock, businesses in Colony West remain closed. But as our Frederick Price shows us tonight, the customers and friends of Rock City Running are working now to get things moving again.
The running community in Arkansas is mighty. And in times of tragedy, they don't waste any time helping each other out.
I'm never at a loss for words most times, but it is kind of hard.
Bill Torrey has been in this community for about 40 years. Many know him locally as the godfather of running. But that devastating tornado more than a week ago destroyed his store, Rock City Running.
The doors kind of swung open. I pulled them close to me, thinking I don't want them blowing out and breaking. When all of a sudden it exploded inward.
He still has cuts and bruises from helping rescue people that day. His store now boarded up and only parts of the original sign are intact.
It was unfathomable, the damage that happened.
Brent Corbett leads the Little Rock Roadrunners. He was actually inside Bill's store when the storms rolled in, preparing for a race the next day that would eventually be canceled.
The last Saturday, I was just kind of all day, I was like, people were reaching out constantly about how can we help Bill, how can we help the store.
The about 500 Roadrunners you see here decided a run down Capitol Avenue, and of course donations will help rebuild their friend Bill's store.
Bill's always been there for all of us.
This time, they're all there for him. So far, they've collected more than $50,000 from 43 states and 4 countries.
It's kind of surprising in a sense that we did this all in a week, but in the same sense, it's like, it shows how much people love Bill and love the people at the store.
And Bill, as you can imagine, is beyond grateful.
If you help people, you'll be rewarded 100 times. If you make somebody feel good about themselves, you'll be rewarded 100 times.
Just look around. Perhaps there's some truth to that. In Little Rock, Frederick Price, THV 11 News.
I also have to agree. I love that. Well, meanwhile, shelters are set up in the hardest hit areas. But what happens when people need to move on and find more permanent housing as they rebuild? Well, Kevin Howard with Little Rock's Department of Housing and Neighborhood Program says they're working with the Red Cross and the nonprofit 100 Families to find people more permanent solutions. He says they've placed nearly 250 people in hotels since the tornado, and more than 250 people are on a waiting list for housing.
If they need permanent housing, we provided a list of apartments that were available for them to go into to receive those permanent houses. If they needed assistance with deposit for those apartments or those places that based on the list that we gave them, they could get assistance through our Emergency Solutions Grant.
He says the first step is to reach out to Red Cross if you need housing. The Arkansas Realtors Association is also helping those impacted with disaster grants. Now, you can find more information on how to apply for housing help on our website, that is thv11.com. People from around the country are coming to help Arkansans recover from the storm damage. So if you're looking for help, you can register with one company with a number right there on your screen. Now, after weeks of work, the regular legislative session came to a close yesterday. It's been a long road to get here, with bills bringing big changes to Arkansas. THV 11's N. Russell was there for the last day and brings us the top headlines from a session to remember.
Or until the regular session of the 94th General Assembly is adjourned, signing aye.
Months of discussion, hundreds of bills. countless hours in these rooms, and now it's over.
Y'all kept asking, was April 7th the day? And here we are. We made it happen. It's a good session. Very productive session.
Massive bills have shaped the majority of what we'll remember from this time. Possibly the biggest, says State Senator Greg Leding, is the Arkansas Learns Act, the bill that's set to change education in the natural state.
Those took up a lot of oxygen out of the room, kept lawmakers busy, and unfortunately also kind of slowed down the process. So that's one reason we saw such a spike in legislation near the end of session.
Another key piece is the Protect Arkansas Act, also sponsored by Governor Sarah Sanders. That's headed to her desk and makes some felony offenses ineligible for early release from prison.
I don't think it's any secret that I wasn't supportive of Learns or the public safety bill, even though I liked a lot of what was in them. Just ultimately couldn't find a way to support them.
While many bills were intensely debated, some saw even more talk, including bills impacting transgender Arkansans.
Lots of unnecessary legislation, hateful legislation that's going to put a lot of Arkansans at greater risk of harm.
Another big topic was reducing income tax, something the governor has called to remove entirely.
I think continuing the tax reduction is significant. That's a highlight.
That could be something that House Speaker Matthew Shepard thinks would be the focus of a possible special session if one happens.
There may be an opportunity to come back in and do some further reduction, not unlike what we've done in the past with Governor Hutchinson.
Leding says he doubts one will be called, even though he says there's more work to be done.
We'd like to see, if we're going to pass tax cuts, that we focus more on working Arkansans and low-income Arkansans. We'd like to see, we're all about strengthening education. We're just not entirely sure that this path that we took this session was the right way to go.
In Little Rock, Ian Russell, THV 11 News.
Now, one bill that snuck in just before the buzzer would allow people to carry concealed handguns without a permit. It is now awaiting the governor's signature. Once signed, this law will go into effect 90 days after the end of this legislative session, allowing any adult who is eligible to purchase a handgun to conceal carry one in approved places in Arkansas without the permit. Gun buyers will still be required by federal law to get background checks by the FBI before purchasing the handgun. And Matthew Ewing owns CME Firearms and says while he supports the new legislation, he still feels that education is important to keep the gun owner and others safe.
It's one of those things where I carry personally, but it's one of those things where I'd rather have it and pray to God I never have to pull it out than have my life endangered and not have it on me.
Opponents of the law have questioned how this new law will impact the 2017 enhanced carry law that allows concealed carry in locations like the state capitol.